Roblox horror. It's one of the most popular genres of games on the site, and it's also home to some of Roblox's best games. It can take many forms and has evolved many times over its nearly 20-year period of existing on the platform. But throughout the years, even with the rise of these popular horror games like Doors or The Mimic, throughout it all, one has stuck with me. One that I'm sure everyone knows about, but barely anyone plays anymore. The game I'm talking about is called Party.exe. At first, the game tricks you into thinking it's just a simple Roblox game, and if you play a little bit, the game then tricks you into thinking it's a simple horror game. But neither could be further from the truth. The true horrors of Party.exe are hidden behind secret endings, hidden codes, and hyper-realistic forests. In this video, I want to dive deep into the mysteries of this game, and perhaps even uncover its deeply troubling story. This is going to be a long one, so buckle up, and maybe even like and subscribe, as we dive into the dark world of Party.exe. Immediately after joining the game, the player is thrown into a very colorful and empty world. Happy, royalty-free music plays, and everything seems almost too perfect. From here, you can enter into the house in front of you, or return home via the back gate. Either way, you are sure to come into contact with this guy. He's a white floating smiling man that watches the player as they approach their house. Upon entering the house, he disappears. Taking the obvious path leads you down a long hallway until you get to this. The jump scare itself isn't scary in the slightest. However, the text on the wall is. But this just isn't put here to scare you. It's trying to tell us something really important about the white dude. But more on that later. This isn't his only sighting either. If you choose to return home, the white dude stalks you back to your house, sings you happy birthday in a raspy voice, and then proceeds to eat your lungs. In case this isn't obvious yet, Party.exe has many different endings, with all of them ending with the player dead in some way. A vast majority of these have you dying to the white dude. However, not all of them end this way. Through these endings, we learn about other entities in this world, and through death, we learn how to unlock the other endings. Let me give you some examples. Going to the second floor of the house, there's a door. Going through the door, we can see a birthday party that is actually set up for us. We are advised not to touch the cake when the lights turn on, as it's for someone else. However, it's unknown who that someone else is. Curiously, one of the guests stands away from the rest and bears a striking resemblance to the white dude, but he doesn't really try to kill you or anything. Touching the cake makes all the guests get extremely angry and turn into black shadows, which we will come back to in a bit. They then throw you into the pit and you come face to face with the birthday boy, a massive, horrifying demon that lives underneath the house. Escaping the first room leads to a second one with a throne and a black crown, which radiates with dark shadows, which once more, we'll come back to this. The player is then eaten by the giant monster, and the ending, well, ends. This is not the last we see of strange black things in this game. In another ending, the white guy tries to stop us from going down a path, but eventually he just gives up and pushes us into a forest, where we are hunted down and killed by a black creature. Now, I'm not going to sit here and go over every single ending from here on out, because that would take too long. So instead, I'm going to talk about just two more of the really important ones and bring up details from the other endings when needed. Now, if you've made it this far into the video, please consider liking and subscribing. I would really like to hit 10K by the end of the year, and every sub counts. Okay, begging over, back to the video. The next path is a big one, the theater. Here, we enter into a large theater that's empty. On the screen, a movie is playing, which shows terrifying images. Once the movie ends, a black box begins to speak. The creature inside the box asks us to free it, in return for great rewards. So naturally, we free it. The creature then gives us a cake and then chases us as a black cloud until we are trapped in a maze deep inside the theater. This ending concludes with the white guy crying in a corner before seemingly being possessed by the black guy, killing us as well. Now, this ending shows us quite a bit. Clearly, given the context of all the previous endings, the white and black entities are at odds with each other, and both want the player dead for different reasons. Although it seems that the black entity is decidedly more of a threat. But all these other endings have just been a taste of the true roller coaster ride that is this game's finale. All deaths relating to the black creature provide us clues on how to activate this secret ending. The first The first being, between two trees is where the secret lies, which tells the player about the secret invisible wall. The second is the code to the door, 44321. The numbers don't have any significance, but the place that it takes us to does. The place is called the DERP facility. Yes, that's what it's called. The DERP facility, which is an acronym for Dream Emulator Rift Position, gives us clues as to what's going on just from the name itself. However, it's offline due to an error in the system. The player must reset it before they are able to warp away. However, the black entity attacks, destroying the DERP facility's defenses, and manages to break into the teleportation chamber just as the player is leaving. Unfortunately for us, the black entity escapes with us, using the white entity's body as a host. The player eventually wakes up and is greeted into the real world in a laboratory, where a computer screen tells us that we, in Error and Subject Zero, have all escaped the program. Later in the hallway of the facility, this happens. With the black entity destroyed, the white entity tells the player to end it where it began, where we learn that the white entity escaped the program without his original host body, and we are given the option to terminate his life support. Doing so prompts the white entity to thank the player as it can finally rest in peace. The player escapes the facility and the game ends. So, what in the world is the story of this game? It's certainly a wildly confusing one, but I'll do my best to explain everything. Firstly, we have the world. If it wasn't obvious, the entire game up till the lab portions are all merely just a simulation, with evidence being the game literally telling us this fact. However, we aren't the only ones in the simulation. There appears to be many who are in the simulation at the same time as us, but they have all been corrupted due to the black entity, or the error. The error is preventing anyone from warping back into the real world, however, it's been contained by some unknown force in the black box, only able to manifest itself through the people it's infected and its black clouds of smoke. As the error is just an error and not really a real person, it doesn't really have a body, so its smoke form is what it takes up as for the most of it. The only thing that doesn't really have a clear explanation is what the creature is in the basement. However, it's probably just there to be spooky. And like I said, everyone is infected by the error. Everyone except the white entity and the player. I don't quite know why the white entity is so strong or what's wrong with him, but he knows he's sick and trapped. I assume he probably has some sort of respiratory related issues that is life-threatening, hence why he is so adamant in consuming our lungs. He wants to eat our lungs because he is literally dying in the real world. Also, we are the only ones not corrupted by the error, as shown in the heaven ending where he tells us that we aren't like the others before eating us. However, in the theater ending, we see that even he too is corrupted by the error, and in this case, the error uses the white entity as a new vessel. Finally, we can assume the clues given to us through the death screens are from the white entity, attempting to let us escape so that we can all be free of the error. When the error followed us into the real world, he brought the white entity's body with him. I guess being in the real world freed the white entity from his control, allowing him to kill the error. And then we end his tragic existence by putting his spirit to rest by destroying the host body, allowing him to fade away and escaping the nightmares of the simulation once and for all. And that, my friends, is the story of Party.exe. It goes a lot deeper than I expected, but it's a great one nonetheless. This has got to be definitely one of the most hidden and obscure Roblox stories there are, but I think that's just what makes it so great. But anyways, that's all I've got for this video. If you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye, and once again, thank you for 5,000 subscribers.